It's a lovely good evening today, the 1st of September 2021. To present Camnet TV main news, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Top stories in the news tonight. President urged to consult defense wings before selling the presidential jet. A Chinese company suspended for subjecting workers to bad conditions of service. A Zambian with a heart condition seeks help to save his life. And in international news, mistrust towards COVID jabs in remote Kenya emerge. And in sports news, preparation for the Zambian Tennis Association League intensify.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN 096 296 5883. For Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
Hello once again, another news in detail. The Ministry of Labor has suspended operations at Longlihua, a Chinese company, following reports of poor working conditions. Ministry Assistant Labor Commissioner Special Duties Chola Kabaso, who inspected the premises Wednesday, says the suspension will last for a week and that operations will only commence if the company seals the loops that have been established. The workers at the company have been subjected to eating food of low quality, working with no protective equipment, and have no proper toilets, among other challenges. And Labor Commissioner Givens Muntengwa says the ministry will extend the suspension period if the company does not comply with the directive. Details in the following report.
The story of the poor working conditions at Longlihua, a Chinese company in Lusaka specialized in making roofing sheets and PVC ceilings, has attracted the attention of the Ministry of Labor. Officers from the Ministry of Labor, accompanied by Assistant Labor Commissioner for Special Duties Chola Kavaso Wednesday, took time to visit the premises to establish why workers have been subjected to working under poor conditions as well as feeding on meals of low quality. During the inspections, it has been established that works at the kitchen and the ablution blocks have commenced after the story was heard on Camnet News over the state of the premises went viral.
So you must say that minimum construction. Very good management, minimum construction.
Toilet is what happened. This is as good as barefooted.
So the vacant urine was checked.
Yes. From Dala, you are working with these shoes. You are working without the boots.
However, it has also been established that workers have been working under difficult conditions as they lack necessities such as protective equipment despite working in a dangerous environment. Mr. Kabaso also took time to interact with the workers who have expressed various concerns over the poor working conditions.
Mino wa magalo ajaya wa magalo kama tuma security yao mama pikira nyama maona which is more important between us workers and magalo ajaya tikafika ndani ya ma contract makamba contract nasebenza more than three companies nikaliboona contract yeyo masaina ukwabisa ati osatuone umushana che pa provision pa the signature che.
Among other challenges, the workers are paid low wages and their salaries are deducted if one falls sick or has a bereavement. Mr. Kabaso has since directed the company manager to cease operations for a period of 1 week until the kitchen, toilets and protective equipment are put in place.
The sales department will remain open,
Which
so
one?
that the sales department here.
Which one?
This one. You will
This
continue working even tomorrow. But the factory no work,
But for this sales, they can't.
Pardon?
Your meeting is still
Sales you are not closing.
No closing.
But factory you are going to close because the toilets no Buddha,
I know. But when
The kitchen no Buddha there.
when the toilet and the kitchen finish completely
Yes.
and finish everything, and you come to see,
Yes.
yeah, no problem.
And company manager says he has employed a lot of people despite the COVID-19 period, which has affected businesses. He has, however, agreed to put the house in order as soon as possible.
I know plenty people. Even this morning, 5 people is standing here looking for the every day. Because this is big. So many people is no job. It's a problem. It's for me also is too much headache. Because it's corona time, many company close because of the corona. Even business is very tough. It's no profit, loss.
And the Labour Commissioner, Given Muntangwa, had this to say.
We have already responded to the reports that were aired yesterday, and so far we look forward to that company complying within the 7 days that we have given them. Should they fail to complete the works within 7 days, then we will be able to extend the period until they finally comply.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A fuel tanker truck carrying 39,000 liters of fuel belonging to ZAMBIA company caught fire at Nega Nega turnoff in Chikakanta district in Southern Province this morning. The driver of the tanker, Abba Du, told journalists that the accident happened in unclear circumstances as the tanker was moving at a normal speed. He explains that the fuel he was carrying was being transported from Lusaka to engine filling station in Livingston. Meanwhile, Chikankata District Commissioner Peter Mwinde, who rushed to the accident scene, implored the Road Development Agency RDA to put up speed humps between Chikankata and Mazabuka town. The DC regrets the incident and has since thanked the Mazabuka Fire Brigade team for managing to quench the gutted fuel tanker. President Hakainde Hichilema has been advised against selling the presidential jet, which was acquired by former President Edgar Lungu. Inter-Africa Governance Network Afrinet Executive Director Maurice Malambo says if President Hichilema will uphold his promise to sell the jet, then he must do that in consultation with security wings. Mr. Malambo, however, notes that selling the jet is not a priority national agenda, adding that it would be ideal for the head of state to avoid selling the jet as it is a national agenda. Meanwhile, in opposition, President Hichilema vowed that once elected as president, he was going to sell the newly acquired Gulfstream and give students their meal allowances, among other important needs. We have more in this report.
The issue of the presidential jet was a matter of concern in the country. The Gulfstream G650ER is fetching around 66.5 million US dollars, equivalent to 1,067,850,882 kwacha. The purchasing of the jet by former President Edgar Lungu brought a lot of debate among those for and those against the idea and those against the move in the country. The question of priority arose owing to the fact that the country was experiencing a number of social and economic challenges. While in opposition, President Hakainde Hichilema vowed that when elected to lead the country, he was going to sell the jet and give students their meal allowances, among other important needs.
The money going to come from? After I warned you not to ask me that question, someone asked a question. I said, the first money to support youth programs is to sell that presidential jet. I found a buyer. through this social contract. Not that
Intra-African Governance Network Executive Director Mollis Malambo says if President Hichilema will uphold his promise to sell the jet, he must do that in consultation with security wings.
Don't know how the current government or any other person or any other government to come would sell a state facility that has been bought for security reasons. Whatever the case, let them do so in consultation with the state institutions such as Zambia Air Force, the intelligence, the Zambia Police, and Zambia Army, because those are institutions by law which protect the presidency as an institution.
He, however, notes that selling the jet should not be a priority because the country has pressing national matters to attend to, such as poverty alleviation and job creation, and that not every promise should be realized, saying the jet is a national asset.
With little understanding of how government operates, but now it's a different ball game. UPND has formed government. Let us help them to achieve the goals. Selling the presidential jet is not a national goal. The national goals that we have is to create employment for the young people, create business opportunities for the women, unite our country against all odds, improve the agriculture. Those are national goals.
He also acknowledged the need to give the president time to settle.
Not everything that is said during campaigns that people should hold the government accountable for. Let the Zambian people give President Hakainde Hichilema time to settle in and roll out his mandate to create employment for the young people, to give business opportunities to the Zambian people, as much as possible to lower the cost of living.
But should President Hakainde Hichilema actualize the promise to sell the jet or ignore it? Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, President Hakainde Hichilema says people who have stolen from the Zambian people will have to pay it back. President Hichilema said government will ensure bodies involved in the recovery of public resources act professionally in dealing with suspects. The head of state made the remarks when he swore in new Zambia Correctional Service Commissioner General Frederick Chulukuta and Fano Siandenge as Deputy Inspector General of Police Special Duties at State House. President Hichilema has also appointed and sworn in Wallace Chakawa as Senior Private Secretary, State House, and Kuyomba Walia as Deputy Commissioner General for the Correctional Services. President Hichilema has since directed the Zambia Correctional Service to find ways of improving the welfare of inmates.
It's not what we're saying. Corruption is corruption. Stealing from the people is stealing from the people. But our main interest is to return the money to the owners, the people of Zambia, so they can have water, so they can have food, so they can have those things. I thought I needed to clarify this, Vice President, because I'm listening a lot. I like hearing what social media is saying, what other people are saying. I hope this makes the point clear. With that, it's late in the day. Thank you to the team organizing these events. Very soon we'll be about to close. We'll be closing because we have to set on with the business of running the country for the people. So we'll finish this phase by and large, largely. And the next time we meet in a different environment with the journalists, Secretary of the Cabinet will like questions. In that situation, we'll like questions. Anton Walia arranged for me an open radio program where citizens will be calling openly, without restriction, without threats, to demonstrate the new dawn that citizens can ask any question they want. We'll work hard to answer it. If we can't answer it, we'll pass it to her, we'll pass it to somebody. Let's demonstrate what we're saying, not just to these men, the women last time, but to ourselves to lead by example. We committed to voters that will be talking to citizens once in a while on an open line. And no one will visit you after you ask a question, whatever question. The onus is on you to ask a decent question. It's on you, it's not on us. But you will ask a question, no one will phone you again to say, why did you ask that question? You are free. It's a new dawn, Freedom Day. I thank you.
Elected members of Parliament have today, the 1st of September 2021, been sworn in. This is in preparation for the first session of the Parliament under the new government set to open on the 10th of September 2021. The MPs, who are from different constituencies, have vowed to uphold the Constitution of Zambia and debate matters objectively. They are now expected to fulfill their mandate and represent the people who voted for them in order to foster development in their respective areas. The United Party for National Development, UPND, says it will not interfere in the affairs of traditional leaders, but allow them to drive their own developmental agenda. Addressing the media Wednesday morning, UPND Chairman for Arts and Culture, Siwote, states that the party in government will also ensure that there is no political manipulation of chiefs and other traditional leaders. Mr. Siwote has urged traditional leaders to discourage vices such as early marriages and alcohol abuse among the youths in villages, and encourage them to participate in productive activities such as agriculture.
But now, as a party in government, it is our agenda, common agenda, to embrace the traditional leadership of this country. Because our traditional leaders hold reasonable amounts of land and natural resources, which we as the UPND feel and need to engage with them so that we can increase the production and also to develop our common agenda to develop this country for the benefit of our citizens. President Hakainde Hichilema has always wondered how a peaceful country endowed with abundant mineral resources and other resources could have remained poor despite such a blessing from God.
The United, Prosperous and Peaceful Zambia UPPZ President Charles Chanda has urged youths to be actively involved in the acquiring of land, especially as a form of youth empowerment. Mr. Chanda says it is high time that young people took advantage of the vast land that Zambia is blessed with to invest in. UPPZ leader says the notion of all people wanting to live in the urban areas should be gotten away with among the youths, but endeavor investing outside cities. He has since called on government to provide necessary policies that will aid people to acquire land with less unnecessary procedures.
For our young generation, they cannot dream of having a house within the city. That is practically impossible. And this is why it becomes very important. Those of you that are in the, category of especially the young ones, you need to start acquiring land that is made available closer to the cities. The moment you miss that land, you must be prepared. If you are in Lusaka, you miss land that is Lusaka West or Lusaka East, you must be prepared to either go and live in the game park. Because land is not something that can be created or imported. It doesn't matter how much money IMF can give your country, it cannot give land. So I want to encourage the young people, please take advantage, acquire land wherever it is for now.
An audio recording that has gone viral on social media where Patriotic Front member Chishimba Kambwili is allegedly instructing the Bank of Zambia Governor Christopher Mvunga to authorize issuance of bonds amounting to $30 million United States dollars has alarmed citizens who feel that politicians should stay away from operations of the Bank of Zambia. Mr. Mvunga in the audio has cited a breach of Section 65 of the Bank of Zambia Act, which carries a sentence of 15 years. Mr. Kambwili on his Facebook page, however, has defended himself, stating that he was simply issuing a directive to the Bank of Zambia by simply asking if such an operation was possible to help the country deal with its debt. More in this report.
Questions have risen from citizens asking who should run affairs of government institutions between professionals or politicians. This follows the leaking of an audio on social media alleged to be between Bank of Zambia Governor Christopher Mvunga and Patriotic Front PF member Chishimba Kambwili. In the audio, Mr. Mvunga alleges that Dr. Kambwili is trying to interfere in the operations of the Bank of Zambia BOZ by giving directives for the bank to authorize a bond of $30 million United States dollars, contrary to Section 65 of the Bank of Zambia Act, which prohibits outside interference in the bank's operations, a crime which carries a sentence of 15 years.
Bank of Zambia is sacrosanct. We work professionally. You as politicians, keep to your lane. What is your problem, Batshim?
Mr. Mvunga. Is it wrong to help if people can help?
Is it right for you to instruct the PS Finance to say the Bank of Zambia governor has agreed? Who did you speak to?
Did I instruct you? Or I called you to say, is there any way you can help? And somebody spoke to the Bank of Zambia governor, speak to him.
Can I tell you, Chishimba Kambwili, do you have an authority even to talk to the PS about issuance of bonds? Have you read the Bank of Zambia Act?
Mr. Mvunga, I was asking if it is possible to help.
You were instructive, my friend.
No, I was not instructive. Unless I don't know how you want
to. Okay, can I tell you in what local standard? Can I ask you? You're a senior party member. In what local standard do you have even to approach the PS to issue bonds? In what local standard are you standing on?
I was asking if it is possible to help.
Dr. Kambwili, however, has taken to writing on his Facebook page to defend himself. The PF member has argued that he was not giving directives to the Bank of Zambia, but simply inquiring if the authorization of a bond was possible. He says this follows a recent advertisement by BOZ to the open market to buy government bonds and treasury bills. He has further expressed that he is concerned about the country's debt acquired from local contractors and suppliers of goods and services for the infrastructure works done, goods supplied, and services rendered. Dr. Kambwili has further called on government to ensure that the country's debt is settled. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Now, the trend of victimizing and extorting money from motorists by political party cadres has been addressed in Lusaka's Chawama constituency following the government's resolve to curb the infiltration of cadres in public facilities. A check by Camnet News found motorists and commuters moving free without fear and of intimidation from anyone. And the young people have called on government to provide employment and empowerment opportunities to help them cope with life. Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND Chawama constituency losing parliamentary candidate Potiphar Tembo has urged the young people to organize themselves in order to benefit from various empowerment initiatives. Patrick Soko reports.
Decree by President Hakainde Hichilema that no more cadres in markets and bus stations came as a sign of relief to many Zambians, but more so for the people of Lusaka's Chawama constituency. The area was never short of fights among Patriotic Front rival camps over the bus stations. Others were led by Patriotic Front detained self-proclaimed national commander Innocent Kalimanshi, while the other group had its base at the intercity bus terminus. They were never short of action. They extorted money from bus drivers and beat up anyone failing to comply. But that is no longer the case, as people who committed such atrocities are in self-imposed exile, and this is what remains of their command center in Chawama. But there are concerns over the livelihoods of young people who earned a living through illegalities.
There'll be no cadarism. But they'll be 1 to 12 until college free. So not promised the boss.
And UPND, losing parliamentary candidate for Chawama constituency, Port Fatembo, says days of thriving in criminality are long gone.
So chameni kupembani chakuti insanity yamene yabwera manje ipitirire tamize sana because tifuna ife tibweti kumangeni that mutenga ndarama ku mabasi mambesesa olo mumenya mazimai sitifuna ivo mu chipani chathu ayi na bomba ya nyowani vija bisale na malungu ayi tamize sana vamene vinachosa valungu ni kumenya abantu bali bechifukwa ni kuchita harass bazimai kuchita harass mabus drivers kuchita harass ma conductors ndeva mini vinavachosesa ife va UPND tifuna ma stations yonse kuchoka ku Jona watu kwenda kufika ku downtown stifunapo muntu kutenga ndarama za bantu.
He has implored young people to get organized and position themselves for government empowerment programs.
Mbane mazina so that ni kupushingireni mungene nchito not zotenga ndarama ma station. So that my recruitments ngatayamba ya kukansu yayamba ya kuzafu ya kusedenesi ya kuzambia police kwa imwe amene munapunzira muzafunika mungene nchito not kupezeka ma station kwa imwe amene simunapunzire kupyanga freedom we mfunika range chabe so mfunika grade 12 range mulibe.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A 20-year-old man of Chingola district on the Copper Belt is battling with a heart condition and has appealed to well-wishers for financial help. Evananji Siame says he is in urgent need of heart surgery from India amounting to 377,000 kwacha. Mr. Siame, who recently completed his grade 12, has told Camnet News that he suffers from rheumatic condition from birth, a condition which causes heart failure, requiring him to have a mitral valve fitted into his chest to function in place of his heart. His mother, Vukani Longwe, has also explained to Camnet News that her son's condition has been getting worse each day as he can hardly do anything. We have more in this report.
He may look like an ordinary young man, but he has a different story to tell. For 20 years, Evananji Siame has not been able to live a normal life due to a heart condition known as rheumatic condition, which he has had from birth. This condition often causes heart failures and also leads to his heart and liver swelling at times. At 9 years old, the government of Zambia sponsored Evananji to India for his first surgery, where he had a mitral valve fitted in his chest, which is meant to function in place of his heart. His family was also informed that the valve would need to be replaced after 10 years. The 10-year period has now elapsed, and despite various efforts by the family over the years to raise the 377,000 kwacha for his surgery, they have not been successful. His mother, Vukani Longwe, narrates that the family spends over 2,000 kwacha per month on medicine to sustain him, but says this is only temporary. Ms. Longwe adds that the family has raised about 62,000 kwacha out of the 377,000 kwacha that is needed, and has appealed for well-wishers to urgently come on board before it's too late. She explains that the surgery is needed before 14th September 2021.
At this stage, sometimes, we go 2 days, we're not sleeping, 3 days. The whole night, you stay up awake. All of a sudden, in his sleep, he's screaming out of pain because he's having an attack. He runs breathless. It's not easy for a child his age to ask for help to have him run a bath. He can't do it on his own. He needs help because he's running breathless. So you need to help him to bath. And he's on a diet. There are certain foods that he's not supposed to eat. He's restricted to. He's on medication, or this medication that you're seeing here. He's been taking this from the time that he had his operation. And this costs me about 2,200 every month. I have to buy this medication just to push him and just to give him hope and life. He does have a very strong spirit of fighting. He's been a very strong boy. Sometimes, even as he goes to school, he wants to be among his friends. He'd try to hold himself so much, even if he's in pain. And there's that stigma that his friends were giving him because they didn't know how serious this disease was.
Evananji Siame has narrated his daily struggles.
So this will be my final surgery I'll be undertaking in India. So when I started experiencing those challenges, I didn't really put mind to that. I sort of ignored it because I didn't think it was something that was major. But I knew the deadline was there, so I was a little bit scared, but I didn't just concentrate much on that part. Yeah, we're humbly asking you, the people, to help us. Anything is highly appreciable. It could be a prayer, anything. We're just asking for your help and for your support.
For now, Evananji's fate is solely dependent on well wishers. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV main news. We take a break and we'll be back with more news after the break.
It's your time to celebrate the August 2021 Back to School with Butter Toffees. Visit your nearest Butter outlet countrywide, purchase a pair of genuine leather Butter Toffees and get a free special edition of Butter branded spiral notebook for every purchase. Remember, promotion runs from the 19th of August to the 19th of September 2021. Hurry while stocks last. Butter Toffees, made strong to last long. T's and C's apply.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your ZAMTEL mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with ZAMTEL mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. ZAMTEL, your digital lifestyle partner.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN 096 296 5883. For Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913-000-182-5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Bank of Zambia BOZ Monetary Policy Committee has maintained the monetary policy rate at 8.5%. BOZ Governor Christopher Mvunga at a media briefing on Wednesday said that the decision was arrived at due to a favorable exchange rate and improved prospect for fiscal consolidation. Mr. Mvunga says the committee is mindful of the subdued economic activity and existing vulnerabilities in the financial system. And Mr. Mvunga says Zambia's economy is this year projected to grow by 1.6% and will strengthen over the medium term based on expected positive performances of sectors like ICT, electricity, public administration and education. And the central bank has projected inflation to decelerate faster than was earlier anticipated, although it will remain above 6 to 8% from the current average of 22.6%.
The Policy Committee decided to hold the monetary policy rate at 8.5%. Inflation is projected to decelerate faster and edge closer to the target range than was envisaged in the May 2021 MPC meeting, mostly on account of a favorable outlook for the exchange rate and improved prospects for the fiscal consolidation. I'm sure you've heard strong pronouncements that are coming out from government in terms of their commitment to ensuring that fiscal consolidation is achieved and optimal utilization of resources. And this is resounding very well, or resonating very well, with the international community. The investor confidence is high, so we're on the right track. In arriving at this decision, the committee remained mindful of the subdued economic activity and existing vulnerabilities in the financial system. Implementation of fiscal adjustment measures premised on fiscal discipline, the dismantling of domestic arrears, enhancement of revenue collections, achieving a sustainable budget balance, securing an IMF program, and external debt restructuring remain critical to restoring macroeconomic activity and stability. Review of the last MPC decision. The MPC decided to maintain the policy rate at 8.5% in May, as inflationary pressures were expected to ease in view of improved food supply, particularly maize and wheat, following a good crop harvest and a favorable outlook for the exchange rate due to significant improvements in copper prices and improved external sector support.
The Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, ZAPID, has commended the Teaching Service Commission for recruiting 347 disabled teachers out of the total 1,200 teachers recruited, reflecting a 32% of the total number. During an exclusive interview with Camnet News Wednesday, ZAPID Director General Julian Mwape underscored that the recruitment surpasses the initial 10% recruitment policy. Meanwhile, the Teaching Service Commission has announced the 1,200 teachers recruited Wednesday, August 1, 2021. More in the following report.
Following the announcement by the Teaching Service Commission over the recruitment of 1,200 teachers across the country, among which the 347 teachers recruited are persons with disabilities, the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disability, ZAPID, has commended the Commission for demonstrating inclusiveness, saying it is encouraging to see a huge number of persons with disabilities being considered in the teaching service.
Of those, we've seen that there's about 347 persons with disabilities. This is a great improvement because the policy was pegged at 10% of the recruitment. But if you look at this and the number of people in total that have been employed, you're going to realize that this is a 32%. So out of the whole, 32% of these are persons with disabilities.
According to Ms. Mwape, this is a great stepping stone to achieving the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development for all, including persons with disabilities.
This is in line with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, Article 27, and Section 35 of the Disability Act, number 6 of 2012, which promotes the employment of persons with disabilities. So this gives us so much joy because we realize that government is continuously showing commitment to the tenets that Zambia has ascribed and signed.
Meanwhile, a total number of 1,200 teachers are recruited in the teaching service, of which 347 are persons with disabilities, representing a 32% of the total number. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Christians Against Poverty in Zambia executive founder Gregory Chileshe has called on the government to prioritize the agriculture sector in its poverty reduction agenda. In 2020, the share of agriculture in Zambia's gross domestic product was 2.73%, according to Statista, a German company specialized in the market and consumer data. He says the agriculture sector has the potential to create more jobs and help stabilize the economy through the value agenda.
Because agriculture has always been the main employer in the country. It takes a lot of people, in that kind of that department, that industry. So once we look at agriculture on a very serious note and fund agriculture maybe more than ever before, okay, agriculture will cause us actually to manage, to deal with, value, when we come to value added, like crops, the country can really grow very, very rich in terms of even forex, fighting the issue of dollar, kwacha fluctuation the way it was, at least at the moment, is very much okay. So we have to make sure that we now touch the economy to stabilize this kwacha to continue improving the way it has started. So on the matter of agriculture, let them focus actually on varied crops.
An environmentalist, Robert Chimambo, has called on the government to take a proactive approach in addressing the climate change issues by effectively implementing the already existing policies. Mr. Chimambo says there is need to take a local level approach in implementing laws which will ensure safeguarding nature. Mr. Chimambo has reminded the President that the President should review the carbon tax policy that was meant to directly support the management of the environment. He recounts that the money raised from the carbon tax is huge to cater for O2s that aid the production of life.
The Water Management Act, now, and of course town and country planning, how you plan human settlement, where to put what and so on, all these things are in place. What now is required is to focus, how do we use these laws to protect our people? When we came out of Cancun, when they approved the so-called Green Climate Fund, that ship, global, I was on Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, we said, you can't depend on this money, Nyamata. What about our local level? We as Zambian civil society, we came up with the idea of carbon tax. These end-of-life cars from Japan, they are emitting greenhouse gases. We said, let's tax that. That money which we get, and it's huge, we then, each of these registrations that are put up, environment, it has got an environmental fund, it's empty. The Forest Act, it's empty. The Water Act, it's empty. Because then you want the donors to do it. No. That is why when we collect that carbon tax, which is huge, we then put it in these funds to manage forests, to manage water, to manage town and country planning, all these climate change related risk reduction.
Vision of Hope says children that have been displaced due to child labor should not be cut off from living a good and healthy life. In an interview with Camnet News, the institution founder Shitalu Chishimba says their main aim is to reintegrate the children that have been neglected back to their families. More in the following report.
Most children leave home as a result of death of their parents and domestic violence. When parents die, some children face hostility and fail to get basic support and care, so they retreat to the streets. Others flee home due to poverty, with a perception that they'll get economic opportunities in the street. Some children are also rejected by their families due to reasons such as disability and diseases. Vision of Hope which was founded in 2009 by Chitalo Chishimba, in an interview with Camnet News, said that children that have been displaced due to child labor should not be cut off from living a good and healthy life.
And they don't know where they're coming from. They may know where they're coming from, but they don't know how to get back because they don't have any money. And these are children who can't even connect in most situations back with families, making them more vulnerable. In some instances, these children have actually ended up being abused by, getting pregnant and also being married off. We have children who have been victims of trafficking and have no place of safety. We also have children living on the street. Okay? We also have children who are undergoing issues of adolescence crisis. So these end up actually being at vision of hope.
Ms. Chishimba told this reporter that every child deserves a good home to grow.
In the process, we support these children with education support because they are in their developmental stage, so they shouldn't be completely cut off, and life and development should continue in their lives. So while doing investigations on how best possible they can be reconnected or reintegrated back into families, we provide services like counseling, a bed space, of course a safe and secure environment, clothing, and we provide motherly support. So we have house mothers that are here, they contribute, they participate in gardening. We also do recreation activities like singing, and they love dancing anyway. So for those that can't go back to school into formal education, where we are in our in-house skills training.
It is such initiatives such as Vision of Hope that will help children living on the streets. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet, not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
It's your time to celebrate the August 2021 Back to School with Butter Toffees. Visit your nearest Butter outlet countrywide, purchase a pair of genuine leather Butter Toffees and get a free special edition of Butter branded spiral notebook for every purchase. Remember, promotion runs from the 19th of August to the 19th of September 2021. Hurry while stocks last. Butter Toffees, made strong to last long. T's and C's apply.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back, and in international news, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to spread across the world, in remote villages in many parts of Africa, vaccine hesitancy still remains. Joseph Leshinga, a Maasai tribesperson living in a remote part of Kenya, doesn't trust outsiders coming to his village trying to administer vaccines on him or his people. Medical practitioners in Kenya are required to formally ask those getting vaccinated who their next of kin is, a simple question which has been enough to put Leshinga off taking the vaccine.
Vaccine shortages continue to plague many African countries, but vaccine hesitancy remains a major challenge facing many of them, even in isolated communities in many regions of Africa. Joseph here doesn't trust outsiders coming to his village trying to administer vaccines on him or his people. I have not received the vaccine. I don't want it because the answers to my questions have not been answered. Why are they asking us who our next of kin is before they inject us with the vaccine? To me, it means the vaccines cannot give us long life, and they know it. That is why they are asking us who our next of kin is, because the vaccine is going to reduce your life. Because when I get injected, they ask me who will inherit my property, and when my wife gets injected, they ask the same. A clinical officer at one of the remote health centers that caters to members of the Maasai community says hesitancy comes from Kenya's colonial past.
They are refusing to take this vaccine because they believe that this is also an indirect way of colonizing us again by maybe controlling the birth of Kenyans, by saying that Kenya should have their own way of manufacturing this drug for us to believe. We are getting a very big challenge when going to those remote areas and telling these people to take this drug.
Kenya's Maasai land is often visited by foreign tourists, and the Maasai interact. There are fears that for a region like Maasai, it could have the effect of prolonging the pandemic internationally, where the inhabitants don't want to be vaccinated.
My fellow Americans, the war in Afghanistan is now over.
Joe Biden brought an end to America's involvement in its longest war. 20 years which stole lives, cost money, and damaged America's image in the world. A war to remove the Taliban, which again sits in power in Kabul.
We're left with a simple decision. Either follow through on the commitment made by the last administration and leave Afghanistan, or say we weren't leaving and commit another tens of thousands more troops going back to war. That was the choice, the real choice, between leaving or escalating.
He promised all Americans who wanted to leave would be evacuated before the US military left. They weren't. Somewhere between 100 and 200 are still there, stranded, but Biden insists not forgotten.
And for those remaining Americans, there is no deadline. We remain committed to get them out if they want to come out.
But the president faces growing criticism from political opponents and even those on his own side. They say he failed, his leadership failed, America failed.
Somebody help us, please. They are completely desperate here. We need help. Please, bro. Ida tore out roofs and windows, ripped bricks out of walls, destroying lives and buildings in a few long hours. Now they are pleading. We need y'all, please. Look at my building. If I wouldn't have got my mama from through here, we'd have been stuck in here. I left out here and water way up here. We need y'all. Somebody help us, please. But where do you even begin? From the sky, it is just water everywhere. Roads, now rivers, they look like boats. But they're actually cars. Residents just have to hope the engine holds out. Almost all of the phones are down here.
Ever since this thing started, we have no communication with anybody.
Some are getting online to ask for help on social media. But here in La Place, just north of New Orleans, they are pretty much trapped. Jay owns 4 hotels. His 30 staff have been stranded inside for days. He can't reach them to see if they're okay. That's the issue, isn't it? You
Yeah.
come here to try to rescue them.
Yeah.
You can't get down there.
I can't get there. Because I don't have a boat. I mean, we're hoteliers. Why would we own a boat? So that's why I was just hoping that somebody would be here. That would, I was hoping maybe National Guard or somebody would be protecting this.
The danger for those who are now trapped by this water is enormous. First of all, you've got the risk of alligators because they are moving into these, what are essentially now rivers. We know of at least one attack. Then there's disease because if you've been hit by debris, you have an open wound, this water is filthy. You do not want to go anywhere near it. And then, of course, there is the bigger risk of the power lines. Loads of them have come down. They litter the side of the road where they snapped like twigs, some making the simple act of walking home incredibly dangerous. The power's been out here and in the wider New Orleans area since Hurricane Ida struck. Officials say the grid is, quote, 100% smashed. It may be off for weeks. Some have generators, which means they can help with the cleanup. But they need gas, which is scarce. Cars line up outside this gas station because there's word of a delivery. As you drive through this town, all you see is devastation. Shop fronts gone, entire homes destroyed.
It's now time for sports news. In sports news, the Zambia Tennis Association says preparations for the tennis league will soon kickstart with about 15 teams participating. In an interview with the media, Association President Gibson Piri says tennis is everyone's game and that every school is encouraged to get affiliated with the Zambia Tennis Association. We have more in the following report.
Tennis is a racket sport that can be played individually against a single opponent or between 2 teams of 2 players. Each player uses a tennis racket that is eased with cord to strike a hollow rubber ball. Zambia is one of the countries that participates in the sport. That said, Zambia Tennis Association President Gibson Piri says tennis is everyone's game and that every school is encouraged to get affiliated with the Zambia Tennis Association.
Trying to have tournaments because when players are actively involved in the leagues, so they have to perform for their teams. And, for us as an association, we believe it's a plus. And as well as help market the sport, we feel that I think we are at the right platform, to accord so many juniors opportunities, as well as scholarships, as well as we know this platform will be able to bring a lot of stakeholders on board in terms of the corporate sponsorship, and the players themselves, they'll be able to prove, that they're good players because they're winning these games. So basically, those are some of the issues.
Piri says young people must develop interest in the sport as this is another way of making resources.
Young, and if you are able to marry the sport and the education, only then can we be able to have the best results. So as an association, that has been our drive, and we have engaged sporting institutions as well as learning institutions. I'm happy to say that some primary schools as well as universities, like the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University, Bush universities, and a lot of other schools are now affiliated with the Zambia Tennis Association. So for us, I think that's a plus, and that's where we want to see to it that tennis should continue developing.
Tennis is an Olympic sport and is played at all levels of society and at all stages. Blessings Shakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That story on tennis brings us to the end of the news, but we'll take a look at top stories once again. President Hakainde Hichilema urged to consult defense wings before selling the presidential jet. A Chinese company suspended for subjecting workers to bad conditions of service. A Zambian with a heart condition seeks help to save his life. And in international news, mistrust towards COVID jabs in remote Kenya emerge. And in sports news, preparation for the Zambia Tennis Association League intensify. The Camnet World Verse of the day is coming from the book of Isaiah 54 verse 17, and it reads, "No weapon formed against you will succeed, and you will refute any accusations raised against you in court. This is the heritage of the Lord's servants, and their righteousness is from me,